Racing Setups is the longest running setup shop on iRacing. Our monthly subscription options start as low as $20 a month. We offer setups for dirt oval, asphalt oval, and road racing, covering a wide range of cars and skill levels. Built and tested by top-tier sim racers, this isn't just a business, it's a community of competitive drivers. If you want to better your iRacing experience, head over to PremierRacingSetups.com today. And remember, if you don't get one, you're going to chase one.
Good afternoon, race fans, and welcome to the show. Tonight we have a good one here, 130 laps here at the Nashville Superspeedway. Qualifying underway, the first driver to take a time is a 62 machine, Frank Zingen. First lap done and over with a 30.93. That is going to be the time the rest of the field is chasing. Brandon Guerin able to throw down another sub 31 second lap. Guerin with a 30.97. We'll see if Frank Zingen here can improve on lap number 2, but hopefully everyone, you are doing all right, ready for some racing action, because that is what we have here tonight. Penultimate race of the inaugural Busch Series here tonight, and then we head to Kansas next week, and we'll probably crown our champion here tonight. Logan Coger has the opportunity to lock it on in here with a good finish here tonight. Frank Zingen able to go better there on lap number 2 at 30.66 for that 62 machine. Another car out on the speedway. How about one less in the car number? That is now the 61 machine of Steve Ritter. Ritter lap number 1 at 30.78, so he finds some speed there on lap number 1. Dustin Coggin able to put in a 33.01, so that gives me a sign that the 46 may have had an issue there on lap number 1. We'll see what Coggin can do here on lap number 2, but here we go. Steve Ritter across the stripe. The 61 machine, we will see, will not improve there on lap number 2. Lap number 2 for Ritter at 30.81, so he will stay P number 2. Now we go to the driver here, looking to clinch his first ever 802 championship. That is this green and white 80 machine of Logan Coger. Coger here at the stripe will start his first time lap, so we'll see what Logan can do as he heads through 1 and 2, getting ready to head down this backstretch. And here tonight, as we can already tell, concrete racetrack gonna provide a little bit of different racing, let's say, than we normally see when it comes to an asphalt track. And here tonight, one of those tracks here that is high speeds down the straightaways, then kind of slow corner speed, so drivers going to have to be on the brakes, make sure they get their cars rotated and where they want on the racetrack. Coger there, lap number 1, puts him P number 2 at 30.75, so a great first lap by Logan. We'll see if he can go faster here, lap number 2. Logan through 3 and 4 here for the final time in qualifying. Like we've always seen here, folks, qualifying 2 laps, best of the 2 laps will set tonight's starting lineup. Coger does improve, but only to a 30.73, so it looks like here with about 20 seconds left, it will be here tonight the 62 machine of Frank Zingen here, walking away with that Riptide Radio Pole Award. So congrats, Frank, there on that. And the pole award here tonight, remember Frank coming up just probably 200 feet short from his first win on the season last week, just running out of fuel at Atlanta. We'll see if Frank can rebound here tonight and get that win here. He will lead the field to the green flag, so congrats, Frank, on the quick time here as we get ready to head down trackside and go through tonight's starting lineup. So here we go, folks. Tonight's starting lineup here for the Smashville 180 here at Nashville Superspeedway will be the following. The 62 machine of Frank Zingen gonna lead the field to the green flag. To his outside, our current points leader, the 80 of Logan Koger. Steve Ritter in the 61 machine will start P number 3, and to his outside, I believe, first top 5 qualifying effort by the 10 of Rick Kennedy. He will start 4th, and Brandon Guerin in the 1 machine will roll off in 5th. Landon Auda in the 15 machine will start 6th, 7th being the 46 of Dustin Coggin. Johnny Barker in the 6 machine will roll off 8th, and Bryson Anderson in the 32 machine will round out our field here tonight as we get ready to do 130 laps here in this one. So we get ready to rock and roll. All cars are out here on the racetrack, so we'll get them rocking and rolling. Like I said, 9 cars here ready to do battle. Maybe a little on the lighter side, but that is usually what we kind of see, especially with a full season points and whatnot, is people, start to drop out of contention for that championship. That can deter quite a few people when it comes to iRacing, but here we still got 9 committed drivers ready to do battle as we get ready to rock and roll. Next time by, we are going green flag racing. Turn these drivers loose for these $130 here at Nashville Superspeedway. Coming into tonight, Logan Koger here has a 30-point advantage over Dustin Coggin. Coggin comes in, trying to make up as much as he can. Brandon Guerin, of course, 57 back. Then Steve Ritter, 4th in points, 89 points back. And Johnny Barker here rounds out the top 5 in points as here we go. The iRacing pace car off the racing surface down on pit road. Now Frank Zingen going to be in control. The 62 fires on off. And here we go. We go green flag racing here on a Friday night at Nashville Superspeedway. Side by side here down through turns 1 and 2. Top 3 right under a blanket as Koger able to stay to the high side of Zingen. Those two will go side by side here down the back straightaway. Steve Ritter into the back of Zingen. Zingen hard into the outside wall. And the 62 machine going to be out here early with a massive hit into turn number 3. Wow. Holy smokes, we will go back and rewatch that one as going into turn number 1 here, Steve Ritter into the back of Frank Zingen. Logan Koger just able to sneak on through, and then Zingen a massive hit to that outside wall. And I think luckily most of the rest of the field able to get on through without any sort of damage or hitting that 62 machine. So Frank going to be done for the night as the first caution here comes out early on lap number 1. And I'm trying to think back, if Frank Zingen, Steve Ritter having any sort of, drama between them. I can't really think of anything off of the top of my head, but we might get a chance here to chat with a driver here early in this one. Frank Zingen looks like in the Infield Care Center, looks like might be coming on down here to chat with us as we see the entire field besides Logan Koger here down on pit road. So I think the field thinking about fuel in this one. Gonna see what we can do here and probably top off on fuel, let's say, just quick splash and go for a lot of these cars. So fuel may be an issue here as, let's get a word here with Frank here involved with a massive hit there on the back straightaway. Frank, you got a copy? It's Brett the Jet in the booth here.
Yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, we're doing all right. I'm sure, can't be said the same for you. I mean, what happened to you in your eyes lap number 1 and a big hit for you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that happens, I guess. Ain't much I can do about that.
Yeah,
I just
definitely.
hit my normal braking point and got ran over, but I was waiting. I was expecting it.
Yeah, definitely a tough break for you here early. Of course, not in the points, anything like that. Out here chasing checkered flags, and I was pretty hopeful for you, get some redemption from last week, get that checkered flag, but that definitely changed big time there in just one lap, less than a lap even, right?
Yeah, couldn't even get to 3 and 4 without ending the night. But I'm sure we're gonna get some fuel saving here again. I'd be looking out for Brandon again because it looks like you can make it on one stop.
Wow, that's definitely going to be interesting to watch from here. And yeah, what was maybe, since prepping for the race, getting that sort of stuff, what was kind of the game plan maybe with you, with Brandon, for this race? Because last time your guys' strategy, man, worked out awesome.
Yeah, no, we really haven't practiced at all. I literally just jumped in here. These are my first couple laps. Was in practice, and then I put down that lap, and I was pretty surprised it held up. And we were just looking at the fuel load, and it said 60 laps sitting in the pit. So if you save 5 laps of fuel, you should be able to make it all the way on one stop, on both runs.
Oh man, that's going to be exciting to watch here. Have a little bit of fuel strategy. But yeah, let's go back to that qualifying lap. Man, that was a good one. First lap was pretty good. And then, man, picking up about right around 4/10 there in lap number 2. That was impressive to see.
Yeah, it was all through 3 and 4. If you wrap that bottom, you can get a big run off the corner.
Yeah, and definitely pretty awesome to see as we get ready to go back green flag racing here. But, this season wrapping on up here, Sunday night, we of course go back here with the Cup cars, and then next week, Kansas. How you feeling about the last 3 events here?
I'm pretty excited for Kansas. That'll be fun. Uh, I love full races, so that's going to be an awesome one for everybody here at the 802.
Yeah, we know, lap 1 incidents, I'm sure, maybe you and Steve will have a discussion. I know racers' memories are pretty, big and remember a lot of stuff. Is this something you're going to maybe keep in the memory bank for future for the 62 machine?
No, I think Steve thinks he owed me one from a couple races ago, which I never really got into him, but he thinks I wrecked him in the Cup race and took him out of the points, so I'm sure this was a little bit of retaliation, but I'm fine with it. Whatever. It's not my racing mentality.
Yeah, it's definitely a good one because at the end of the day, right, we're all out here just to have fun on the sim. You hate to do. Luckily, it sounds like you didn't prepare a lot because that could make things even more frustrating. Like putting all of this time and effort into something and then have lap 1, have it kind of spoiled like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I put a bunch of hours into it this week, I'd probably be mad about it. But literally, I just showed up. I don't get much time to get on here and practice. I just try and show up and do the best I can.
Yeah, and I tell you what, we're always excited to see that 62 machine. And, last couple weeks, a different paint scheme. You got the Cletus McFarlane. I mean, what was the thought process with that paint scheme, and how's it treated you here so far?
Well, in the Busch series, I've been trying to pick the worst wreck at the track every week as my paint scheme, but I kind of ran out of ideas the last couple of weeks. I just went with the Cletus one, threw it on there, and been running it. I was looking for something for Nashville, and I couldn't find anything for a Chevy of big wrecks, so the closest one would have been the Blaney when he nosed it into the turn 1 wall there, but inside wall.
Yep. So then Kansas next week. Do you have maybe a little idea of what could be on the car? Then give the viewers a little insight here.
No, I usually jump on the old interweb right before the race and type in biggest crash at this track NASCAR and then go look for that paint scheme and try and make it as close as I can, as fast as I can, because I usually jump in late.
Yep. No, that's pretty cool. I didn't put 2 and 2 together with the paint schemes there, so that's actually a really cool thing that you did here for this season then.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing the whole season, so.
Nah, cool stuff. And Frank, while we got you here, we know you're out of the race, with that big hit and whatnot. I mean, a little bit of background about you. What kind of got you into racing, and what got you into sim racing as well?
I got into racing when I was a kid. My dad would take me to the track and stuff like that, and then sim racing. I used to be on NR 2003, back in, 2008. That was like the first sim that I ever had, and then I was out of it for a while, and then back in COVID, I was like, I'm buying a rig and everything, and started buying all the pieces to put it together.
Nice. Yeah, I know a lot of, the older school drivers, started on NR. I actually did a little bit of dabbling. I actually got iRacing first and then learned about NR, had to dabble with that. And I tell you what, there was a lot of cool stuff, especially back in the day, trying to find, some races because, broadcast and sim stuff, especially back then, was a rarity, let's say.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's all the private sessions that go into NR that is crazy. I mean, I used to race open speedways, which is just your super speedway races, and it would just rotate between three tracks: Talladega, Daytona Night, and Daytona Day.
Awesome stuff. Yeah, that sounds like a good time there. And yeah, we're glad to have you on iRacing. Always looking forward to seeing that 62 machine out there. And yeah, for the local tracks that you go to, was it dirt, pavement? And of course, what was your favorite kind of car to see out there on track?
Yeah, I grew up on asphalt, so I was a big. Well, I live right by Joliet or Chicagoland Speedway, which is in Joliet, and so I'm pretty excited that's coming back. I'm going to the tire test on Tuesday. Um, Other than that, Rockford Speedway, which just shut down 2 years ago, which a lot of big NASCAR names came out of. You got Mark Martin that used to race there. Chad Knaus got his start there. Earnhardt raced there. There was a bunch of people that used to race there. It was a 100-year-old track. The mother died, left it to the kids. The kids didn't want it anymore. They shut it down. They ran it one more year and then they shut it down. But it was probably one of the best short tracks around with the banking and everything that they had there. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, I've heard, great stories from that track, from back in the day and whatnot. And it's definitely exciting to see that. And it looks like I might be having a little technical issues with cars on track here. It's should be interesting how this plays out. Can you still see cars out on track, Frank?
Yeah, I got them.
All right, well,
I still got them.
we'll see if, all right, we're back now. And I wanted to bring up here, you mentioned Brandon Guerin here working together with you on some great strategy calls. And we see him here as he comes in and out of the shot here, of course, heading towards the back. I assume doing some good old fuel saving, like you mentioned.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that Dustin's back there with him. He's trying to race for points with Logan, so maybe he's trying to save some fuel here too.
Yeah, maybe he saw, that strategy that worked pretty good last time for you two. Maybe gonna try and jump on the coattails with that. So should be interesting to see how that works on out. But yeah, Frank, we appreciate your time chatting with us. And with that sim setup, I always like to get, what do you kind of have for wheel pedals? What are you looking at these days for you?
So I still got a Fanatec inverted V3 pedals, and I'm still rocking a G29, hoping maybe in the next year switch that out, get some 28 newton meters up in here. Um, Figure that out, but then I'm running triple monitor with a big screen up on top of that. Gives me all the data and everything I need up there.
Yeah, that's definitely a pretty sweet setup there. And yeah, if you're looking for a nice budget build, that Moses stuff, I've always heard pretty good stuff about that for a nice wheel.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to figure out what I'm gonna get between Fanatec and Sim Magic, all of it. There's so much out there. You can spend endless amounts of money on a wheel if you wanted to.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's amazing to see kind of the options we have nowadays from, strengths, direct drives, and all sorts of crazy stuff out there. Then, it seems like it continues to evolve. It seems like each year, all the big names, right, have something new that they're offering.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it just I don't know. You can only go so much on the Newton meters. I mean, I think 16 is probably the max you want to go. Now I'm seeing that they're putting it all the way up to 42. Like no one's running it at 42. You rip your arms off.
Yeah, exactly. Like I've heard people breaking thumbs and fingers, even at 15, so 42. Whew.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that it is. Well, Frank, we'll let you get on back here, chat with your teammates here, work on the strategy. I'm going to go see if I can get back to some live feed here on my end. So we appreciate you chatting with us here, Frank. And yeah, sorry about your luck here tonight.
Appreciate it, man.
Alrighty, awesome stuff. That was our pole setter here tonight, walking away with that Riptide Radio Pole Award, Frank Zingen. So I'm actually going to go throw it to a quick commercial break, try and see what's going on with the session, because everything on my end's looking pretty good. So goofy old iRacing stuff. So we'll be right back here, not missing anything out on track here.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Alrighty, folks, we are back here at Nashville about 10 laps later, and the only real shakeup, different leader out here, Logan Koger here, back out here to the point, the 80 machine out here leading the way. Johnny Barker up to P number 2, Rick Kennedy in the top 3 here, currently in the 10 machine. Steve Ritter has fallen back to about that 4th position, but still hanging on to this lead pack. Then we head back to 5th to land an audit kind of in his own island for the time being. Then Bryson Anderson, Brandon Guerin, and Dustin Coggin. I think all these cars here fuel saving, trying to make it a one-stopper, because like we just talked with Frank Zingen here, he gave us a little insight about 60 laps on fuel. So with that first caution, save a little bit, try and stretch it to the end, as that's definitely what the 1 and the 46 are doing. These leaders going to be even closer on fuel, so that's going to be the X factor here in this one. I mean, it all changes, you know, big time, especially if we do get a caution, but here with the drivers that we have, you know, caution will probably be tough to come by here for the time being. Yeah, we start to approach here about 100 laps left in this one here tonight. Biggest mover so far of this race here is the 6 car running in second. Johnny Barker up 6 positions here, so I believe Barker not taking a starting time here tonight, so that definitely helped out the 6 car, able to slice and dice his way up through the field here early on in this one, and still putting pressure on our race leader, but Barker has to be careful. Rick Kennedy right there and Steve Ritter. I mean, all it takes is one little mistake, you know, you overdrive a corner just one time, and that could be enough, you know, to leave the door open for that car behind, because we see Steve Ritter continue to take a peek to the inside of that 10 machine, as we see Barker drift on up just a little bit at the apex there in 1 and 2. Luckily for kind of defending positions, you know, you can do that pretty easily here, especially if you got enough tire in the front of that race car, because all that matters is getting a good run off the corner, like we see Steve Ritter here able to get to the inside of Rick Kennedy, get that spot by the time they get into turn number 1. So Ritter back up to P number 3 here, so we'll have to see how quickly he can run down Barker and see maybe Ritter start to put pressure on Koger here with the race lead. Here this time by at the start finish line, we now go into about 100 laps to go here tonight at Nashville Superspeedway. So laps, of course, clicking on by here pretty quickly. I mean, just over 30 seconds a lap here to get around this racetrack. So even though this track is on the bigger side when it comes to, you know, short tracks or anything like that, I mean, still a big track and still some pretty good lap times, just over 32 seconds like I was saying. So that is where these high speeds are full in effect. I mean, down these straightaways, cars getting above 170 miles an hour, then through the corner slowing on down, you know, to about 120 before they pick back up the pace. As let's ride on board here with Rick Kennedy. I don't think we rode on board with him too many times this season, so let's ride on board here with the 10, get a sense for the laps here around Nashville Superspeedway. You can see right down entry, Kennedy able to make up some time to Steve Ritter, but Ritter definitely focusing on a corner exit. You can see him then draw back away from the Babe Ruth, I think, number 10 machine. So that's kind of the bounce and the kind of bounce and act here that is at Nashville, that you can definitely overcharge a corner, make up some time on the car in front of you, but you got to be aware of that right front tire. With a concrete track here, that can definitely affect the temperature in the tires a little bit differently than if it was, you know, an asphalt track, let's say. So top 4 still all under a blanket, then 5th of Landon Audit still kind of in that own island for the time being, about 4 seconds back from that top 4 as he sits there, as Kennedy here trying to get around Steve Ritter. So once again, a battle for that 3rd position as Rick Kennedy back up into P number 3 behind Audit. Those two drivers, I assume, trying to save that fuel, make sure they make it with a one-stopper here tonight in this one. Brandon Guerin and Dustin Coggin here sit 6th and 7th. Bryson Anderson here rounds out the drivers currently out on track, as Frank Zingen here involved in a lap 1 incident out of the race here early in this one. It looks like Ritter here once again kind of minding the pace, backing it on down maybe just a little bit. Last time by leaders a 32.4, whereas Steve Ritter about that as well. Fastest car out on track was that 10 machine of Rick Kennedy. Now we see Kennedy here on the back bumper of Johnny Barker. Going to take a peek there down the back straightaway, but slot in line. So Rick Kennedy may have some good long run speed here at Nashville Superspeedway. As here we go, Kennedy once again taking a peek to the inside of Barker. This time though, I think he does have a nose to the inside of the 6. Yes, he does. Almost contact between the two of them as Kennedy drove it in there deep to make sure he got that position. Barker trying to take that on away. So side by side here, heads up drag race down the back straightaway for second. Kennedy definitely in that preferred lane here, continues banking through this racetrack, so that makes the top side really tough to get off the corner, as we see Johnny Barker right there slide up right against the wall, and that is where that top side is tough, as now Kennedy sets his sights here on our race leader, Logan Koger. Remember, that 10 machine showed some good speed when it came to qualifying. Kennedy was able to qualify in that 4th position, so has ran in this top 4 all night long, now trying to hunt down our race leader, and that could definitely pay dividends for the 10 machine as he can get out to clean air for the first time here tonight. Once again, we see Kennedy making up a ton of time on corner entry, as here we go, able to get that headlight, at least that headlight lower there off the corner. Kennedy one more time here, taking a peek to the inside of Logan Koger for that race lead, gets a piece of the apron, so had to check up maybe just a little bit, so having to put the grind back on, real run back down Koger is, Kennedy, pretty good hit to that outside wall there on the entry of turn number 1. That could definitely be a tricky spot when it comes to this track, because this trial will very, very long and kind of lazy, so that if you're not kind of prepared, or you got a car maybe blocking that sight of where that wall is, you let that car drift on up, you could definitely get a piece of it. But Kennedy able to get the race lead. He will take over the point and lead here at the start of lap number 42. So Rick Kennedy, new race leader, I believe our 3rd different race leader here tonight. And remember, Logan Koger not down on pit road during that first caution here, so Koger's gonna be in a really interesting spot of trying to maybe save a lot of fuel, or maybe he will try and two-stop it and make up that time there, because I mean, we already see, over a second of fall off, though it's kind of leveled on out to that second of fall off, where Rick Kennedy's still in the 32.2s, most of the rest of the field though in 32.5s or so. So Rick Kennedy here starting to pull away from the rest of the field, now over a half a second advantage to the 10 machine, and starting to close on up to about 3/4 of a second. So now it comes down to Johnny Barker, Steve Ritter. It's like, hey, if Koger continues to kind of fall back on the pace, when do you want to make a move to try and get on around him? But as we saw last week at Atlanta, I mean, you get out of the draft, that can really prevent you from saving some fuel. So that's kind of I assume the balancing act we see from the 6 and the 61, with trying to maybe set up that 80 machine, or maybe the opposite of not setting up that 80 machine and trying to see how long they can ride behind without losing too much time, as Rick Kennedy now over a second advantage out in front here tonight. And there we go. We see the move there by Steve Ritter saying, hey, maybe this pace isn't what we need here. So Ritter back up into P number 3 there, getting around Johnny Barker. So now I would have to think that Ritter will probably try and set up this 80 machine here sooner rather than later. Oh, Johnny Barker there, really good exit there off of turn number 4 as Logan Koger into the wall. That opens up the door for Steve Ritter, and Ritter sends it in there deep up against the fence. Wow. I mean, I think Ritter had to do that to avoid contact with Koger there, because if he didn't shoot to the outside like that, I assume he was going to be into the back of that 80 machine, you know, pretty hard there, and definitely probably going to end up having that 80 machine facing in the wrong direction. So a really good heads up move for Ritter there, maybe giving up a little bit of his own race, but able to keep this race under the green flag conditions here in this one. So with that, that's kind of spread out our top four as well, about half a second now between each driver as Rick Kennedy continues to drive away from the field. So I think Kennedy not worried about fuel. He says, if I got to two-stop it, I will make that happen. But right now, he is approaching about a 2-second advantage for the 10 machine. So he is definitely looking pretty sporty. And we start to approach, you know, the first round of pit stops here. If drivers are planning to two-stop, you know, we'll probably see them down on pit road sooner rather than later. But the driver like the 46, probably going to try and at least make it another 15, maybe even 20 laps. If they can do that, that'll set them up pretty well for the end of this one, as we do see our first taker down on pit road here. Bryson Anderson in that 32 machine here, down on pit road here on lap 50. So he will kick on off our green flag pit stops here tonight from Nashville Superspeedway. Now it becomes a question, when does the rest of the field decide to come on in? And I think the first driver that we would see down on pit road probably going to be our race leader, Rick Kennedy, or probably the 15 machine of Landon Audit. Audit here tonight has been inside the top 5 pretty much all race long. So this Hellman's number 15 looking very sporty out here in this one. As here we go once again, Johnny Barker here, Steve Ritter goes side by side. So Ritter, after that big moment into turn number 1, able to get back the pace in that 61 machine, backed by his Wolfpack teammate of Barker. So Ritter back up into P number 3 here, as like I said, we start to approach our green flag pit stops here in this one. Bryson Anderson down and away from pit road, no penalty, no issues there from the 32 machine. So a nice, safe, easy pit stop here, and that is what you're going to need to do, because this could very easily be a green flag run to the end of this one. Brandon Guerin, Dustin Coggin here. Last time by, Coggin was the fastest car out here on the speedway, so these two might be seeing that fuel looking good here to the end of this one, and maybe turning up the pace just a little bit. Yeah, just like we saw, you know, last weekend, folks, at Atlanta, we saw a fuel strategy race, an alternate strategy work on out for our top 2 finishers there of Brandon Guerin and Frank Zingen here tonight. It is looking like another fuel mileage race, and that's where we see the 1 car be very, very good. I mean, he's one of the best at kind of these big-time strategy races. We saw it last week. Could we see it again here and see that 1 car maybe go 2 in a row on the Friday nights? But of course, we'll find that out in about half of the time, because we are approaching the halfway mark here in this one. As another kind of probably early taker to pit road will be the 80 machine of Logan Koger, because Koger has yet to visit pit road. Everyone else there on lap number 2 did come in top on off on fuel. The 80 machine did not, so Logan's probably going to have at least 2 laps less of fuel in that 80 machine. The question is, where can he stretch that fuel on out to? If he can make it to 60, that leaves a 70 lap run to the end. You got to save 10 laps of fuel, which definitely is a lot, but it can be doable. The question is, man, how does that shake on out in this pace here at the end of this one? As here comes Steve Ritter now taking a peek to the inside of the 80 machine. Ritter able to get the nose to the bottom side of Koger there at the apex and stay to the inside here. So Steve Ritter now up into P number 2, the 61, flexing those muscles here once again of the long run pace of Ritter. So we'll see what Ritter can now do with some clean air on the nose of that 61 machine. Pretty much the first time we've seen clean air on the nose of that race car all night long. So I'll be really interested to see where Ritter and Johnny Barker can make it on fuel, because we know the one car and the 46 big time fuel saving. The question is, how much fuel did these guys save up towards the front, but in that draft here? As we approach the halfway point here in this one, green flag pit stops already underway here. Bryson Anderson, the first car on pit road there on lap number 50. He's out here about, I want to say, a few tenths faster than the rest of the field here in this one, though. Steve Ritter starting to pick back up the pace in a big way here with that clean air. Last time by a 32.29 for the 61 machine. Race leader did a 32.57, so we'll keep an eye here this time by, see where that updates. Kennedy a 32.53. Now Steve Ritter that time by, once again, a 32.29. So Ritter definitely picking up the pace here late in this run. And I tell you what, working out really good, because Ritter at least 0.2 of a second faster than anyone else out here on the racetrack. So we heard here tonight about 60 laps you can make it on fuel. That is the case we see with Logan Koger. Of course, a caution here, so that adds a few extra laps to begin with. But as long as you can make it to lap 70, 71, you can pit from there, make it to the end on fuel. And I think that's what we'll see a lot of this field do here. Because also we see, the pace not being too far off either. So I would say, push here whatever you got to the end to make it to lap 71. Don't keep too much fuel besides that. And then once you make it to that 70, 71 lap mark, hey, pit, you're good to the end. Try and push that thing and, try and gradually fall off to that 32.0 if you can. And if you can do that, man, you could be looking to be walking away with that checkered flag here in this one. Brandon Guerin here tonight starting to run down Landon Audit quite a bit here late in this run. Guerin about half a second on back, so this one car catching the 15. So Brandon Guerin could be pitting right around that 5th position when it's all said and done. But the big question will be, about 13 seconds back. Can he make that up in this second stage? It'll only come if those leaders have to save quite a bit of fuel in this second run. We'll have to see if that is the case, as here we go. We see our race leader here, Rick Kennedy, heading down to pit road here on 64. Same with the 6th car of Johnny Barker. So Barker and Kennedy both down on pit road here just before the halfway point here in this one. So now the question is, when does Steve Ritter come on down to pit road here in this one? As we are right about that halfway point. Here we go, Steve Ritter coming on down here on 65. That will hand back over the race lead here to Logan Koger, who's going to be 1 lap away from leading at the halfway point. Landon Audit, another car here coming down to pit road. That Hellman's 15 machine here safely down onto pit road. Remember, Steve Ritter also down. Johnny Barker, penalty for the 6 machine. Barker being held in his pit box. A heartbreak for the 6 machine, as Johnny Barker, man, it seems like he cannot buy luck. As here we go, Logan Koger down on pit road. So the 80 machine right at the cross flags here in this one, going to be down on pit road. That will hand over the race lead here to Brandon Guerin right around the start finish line. So cross flags out here in the Smashville 180, halfway down, halfway home here in this one. And the drivers that have saved the fuel, only drivers yet to pit, Brandon Guerin, Dustin Coggin, continue to stay out on the racing surface. Like I said, this one car, this 46, going to try and pit right around probably that 70-71 lap mark, because from there they know they are good to the end, can kind of push the pace maybe a little bit more than the rest of the field. We'll see if they're able to make up that time difference that they lost earlier in the race. Remember, it was about 13 or so seconds. So as we see everyone else here back out on the racing surface, yeah, Johnny Barker, penalty on pit road. That will put him 2 laps down in 8th. A tough break there for that 6 machine. And I think once it cycles on out and everything, you know, we'll see that 6 car 1 lap down. But then, of course, he has to hope for that caution, has to hope to get that lucky dog. And like I said, that's going to be a lot to ask here tonight. As here we go, we see the other driver that was saving fuel with the 1 car, Dustin Coggin, here down on pit road here on 69. So the 46 machine probably going to be good to the end on fuel here, pitting at this point for sure. The question mark becomes the guys that did pit on the 63, 64, 65. Can they make it to the end? As here we go, Brandon Guerin right on cue, right on lap 70. The 1 car down to pit road, and that will complete our first round of green flag pit stops. As the 1 car, Brandon Guerin, heads down pit road. That will hand over the race lead here to Rick Kennedy. And with this, why don't we do a little turn 3, turn it up here tonight in the second half of this one. Alrighty, we head back to live racing action. I think with the field spread out as much as they are, we gotta go throw up that good old track map on the right side of our screen so we can see Dustin Coggin, Brandon Guerin here just going through turns 1 and 2, and now Rick Kennedy now going through turns 1 and 2 as well. So they sit quite a bit back, but remember, they are probably good on fuel. The question becomes, how does the rest of the field look, as Johnny Barker here down on pit road here in this one. So definitely at this point here tonight, these drivers kind of racing themselves. No cars really around each other for the time being. Everyone trying to manage their pace, manage their fuel as well as manage their tires. These drivers juggling a lot behind the wheels tonight here in this one to try and set up what could be a pretty exciting finish when all things are considered. Those drivers good on fuel here, definitely pushing the pace a little bit more than the rest of the field last time by. Coggin and Guerin able to throw down a 31.12, where the rest of the field's about a 31.4, 31.3. So this 46 and the one car both having some good speed here, knowing they can make it to the end. As we see Coggin right there get around Landon Audit for that 5th position. Now Brandon Guerin going to be the next driver to strike from those two. Next car in the 46 side as well, that is the 32 machine of Bryson Anderson. Anderson kind of going a different strategy here tonight. Pitted on lap 50, will probably pit again on lap 100 or so. Try and make that strategy work in case there is a caution. Was able to get some track position as he's still inside the top 5, but maybe not for too much longer, as the one car Brandon Guerin able to get around there, land an audit, as Coggin now up to P number 4, one spot behind Logan Koger. But remember, he comes into tonight about 34 points back, so at the moment with 7 cars out there on the speedway, he could knock that down to about 27 points back and have to hope for a really big field at Kansas. If not, Logan Koger could walk away here tonight clinching the championship with one race left here in this one. Brandon Guerin able to get around Bryson Anderson. Now here comes Landon Audit, going to try and get around that 32 machine as well. Here, maybe going into turn number 1. Yes, he does. Audit to the inside of Anderson there and be able to complete the pass. So that will definitely slow down the battles for quite a bit, as out in front though, Rick Kennedy continues to put down some pretty good pace over the rest of the field here in this one. About a 5-second advantage over Steve Ritter. The big question we have to ask, does Rick Kennedy have enough fuel to make it to the end? Because Steve Ritter, especially that last lap there, not sure if the 61 had an issue or what happened, but way off the pace. Steve Ritter, I think, into big time fuel saving mode. So let's ride on board with Ritter, see if he's clutching that car, see if he is trying to save some fuel big time here, riding on board with the 61. As yeah, I don't hear that race car shutting on off, don't hear those RPMs really dropping, like that clutch pedal is being pushed in. So maybe Steve Ritter just a little bit of a moment a few laps ago, but definitely taking it easy on entry, trying to maybe save a little bit of fuel that way. But no clutching, nothing like that for the 61 machine, at least for the time being. As we have about 50 laps left in this one, 25 away from the good old countdown clock here. And I mean, looking at the season, you know, a lot of success from a lot of different drivers. I mean, when we look at the stats, Logan Koger here leads the way with about 13 top 5 finishes. And with that 13, you know, in these 24 races, that puts him at a whopping 55% or so about of the time. Logan Koger is finishing inside the top 5, and that is definitely what helped him to, you know, have this position in the points. Another driver with double-digit top 5 finishes, that is Mike Kelly. Kelly, of course, not here tonight, had to miss this one. Then a whole bunch of drivers with 9, that is Coggin and Guerin, as those two both inside the top 5. So both those drivers looking to join into double-digit top 5 finishes this season. Cody Gibson here had to run the first half of this race or season. Sadly couldn't run the second half, but he had about 8 to his name. Same with Chad Coleman, part-time driving the season. And another 2 with 7, another 2 with 4, 3 with 3, and a whole bunch with 2, and then quite a few drivers with 1 top 5 finish. But when it comes to consistency, that is about finishing races inside the top 10. The driver with the best percentage here this season will be probably that 46 machine of Dustin Coggin. He finished inside the top 10 throughout the season 83% of the time. So that is what wins these kind of super long full season points battles, championships, all that good stuff. As here we go, Brandon Guerin to the inside of Dustin Coggin. Going to be able to get that spot. But yeah, Coggin leading the way with the best percentage of top 5, top 10 finishes for a driver with more than 3 starts. So pretty impressive there from Coggin. I mean, can't hang his head at all for the season. I mean, I'm sure you know he'd love to have a few races back, but that's for anyone in a full season-long points. But overall, man, a great season effort, even if he does come up a little bit short and walk away with that second overall in points. Another thing I like to look at here for looking at drivers is incident per start, as well as overall incidents on the season. And it's actually our man in the 32 machine, Bryson Anderson, leading the way with the most incidents on the season with 109. Then second, our points leader, Logan Koger, sits with 98. So that just goes to show, you know, you can still have incidents, be involved in wrecks, and still wrap up an overall pretty good season. But I mean, incident per starts, you know, the average of that, John Buell leads the way, Jason White second, but all those drivers have, you know, 3 or less starts. I'm actually up towards that side of things with my limited 2 starts here this season. But when it comes to a driver, you know, with more than 5 starts, it's actually Kenny Reel. That's actually really surprising to see. But only 5 incidents per start averaging, and you know, a big time hit to another car, that's a 4X. So you gotta think, you know, anything more than 4, it's probably, you know, we see most of the average for the drivers here in the series about 4. The driver with the least amount of incidents per start, you know, with over 5 starts, is actually Scott Simley, Brian Wertman in there as well. But the driver that has run most of the season, that has been in the least amount of incidents, averaging only 1.65. That's very impressive. That goes back to the driver with the most top 10 finishes right here. The 46 machine of Dustin Coggin sits with 1.65 incidents per start. That is impressive to see, because like I was just saying, you know, you make a start, you make contact with another car, that could be a 4X right there. So to average less than 2 incident points per race, that is awesome to see. Another driver with low incident points per race, sadly not out here tonight, Ron Holyfield, with 20 starts, averaging about 2.45. So that is pretty cool to see. The driver in the 1 car here, Brandon Guerin, another pretty good average, 3.21 here for the season. So Rick Kennedy continues to, you know, pace the field. Steve Ritter continues to back up the pace, actually backing up that pace to 3rd now, as Logan Koger able to get around the 61 machine. So Ritter in big time fuel saving mode, and he just has to save more than that 1 in 46 just going by the start finish line. So he still has just under half a lap to play with for that 61 machine, but you know, still with about 35 laps left in this one. Can't afford to give up a ton of time each and every lap. I mean, last time by, Ritter gave up about a second to the 1 and the 46. Logan Koger, remember, he was one of those drivers, the only driver, let's say, that did not pit here tonight under that first caution, first and only caution, let's make it. So it should be really interesting to see what the 80 machine can do on fuel. Was able to stretch it to lap 65, so that does put him right at the halfway point. So about 35 laps left to go with this one, and I believe this has been the most laps Rick Kennedy has ever led here with the 802 iRacing League. I mean, I'm going to go try and look up the stats here as we look at this 10 machine continuing to lead the way here tonight. But I believe I'm going to go double check my numbers here just to see what things are looking like. As yeah, Rick Kennedy coming into tonight has 6 career laps led with the Friday Night Busch Series here tonight. Definitely blowing that out of the water here, as Kennedy, I want to say, has led about, the last, for sure, 35 or so laps, adding, 10 to 20 before that. Rick Kennedy probably leaving here tonight at Nashville Superspeedway is going to walk away with 3 extra bonus points for the most laps led here tonight. So definitely a career night so far for the 10 machine, able to qualify inside that top 5, out here leading the career best laps, and out here in the race lead with just over 30 laps to go. But the question is, how does the fuel look in that 10 machine? Can he make it to the end of this one? As the only car here, 1 lap down here tonight, Bryson Anderson in that 32 machine, last down on lap 49. So we'll probably have to expect Anderson down on pit road here pretty shortly once again. As Rick Kennedy's starting to catch Landon Audit to maybe put Audit 1 lap down here before the end of this one. As there it is, Bryson Anderson here on lap 99, coming on down to pit road, going to use his final set of tires here tonight at Nashville. So that will put him probably about 3 or so laps down, winning all things shake on out. As Rick Kennedy will be the first driver to make it over to triple-digit laps here tonight. We'll click on over to lap 100 of 130. And that now means about 5 laps or so to go to the old countdown clock here at Nashville Superspeedway for the old Smashville 180 here tonight. So Bryson Anderson down and away, full service on that race car, 4 fresh tires under that 32 machine. So we'll see how that shakes on out, as Anderson going to try and stay 2 laps down. Looks like is going to be able to do that as he comes out in front of that 10 machine of Kennedy. And don't forget here, folks, Brandon Guerin as well as Dustin Coggin for sure good to the end on fuel. Brandon Guerin has shrunk the lead there to Steve Ritter to now less than about 6 seconds. So Brandon Guerin continue to keep his foot on the pedal knowing he's good to the end on fuel. He is definitely running some really, really good pace here. Still the only driver left in the 31-second bracket. That time by, though, a 32.2 for the one machine, but Brandon Guerin, the last car left in the 31, so he still has some good pace in that one machine. Like I said, it could very well come down to a race between the 61 and the one who could stretch out the fuel, who could save enough to the end. Brandon Guerin, of course, doing the fuel saving during that first one. Steve Ritter doing the fuel saving in the second run, but you got to wonder about Kennedy and Koger. Have they been saving any fuel? I don't believe so. What lap can they make it to here tonight? As Rick Kennedy here to the inside of Landon Audit. Audit now will go one lap down, but now, luckily for him, no real other car here in danger of going one lap down. So if a caution were to come on out, Audit would be the lucky dog as long as he is not involved in that incident. Man, Brandon Guerin really eating into that gap to that 61 machine. Now that gap about 3.5 seconds now with still 25 laps to go. Man, Brandon Guerin looking in a really, really good spot here late. But like we've seen quite a few times here at Nashville, even tonight, earlier on, man, it is one thing to run down another car. It seems like passing can be pretty difficult here tonight, as Rick Kennedy now takes us on to our laps to go counter here. As that time by, we now go into 25 to go here at Nashville Superspeedway. Yeah, Kennedy leads the way here over Logan Koger. Koger comes into tonight with the points lead. Here currently going to stretch out his points lead if they were to finish how they're running. Steve Ritter in that third position trying to save this fuel in the second run. Brandon Guerin in fourth, saved the fuel in the first run. Good to go here towards the end. As here, Bryson Anderson on those fresh tires. Going to try and get on around the one car. Going to do just that there. Dustin Coggin sits in that fifth position. Another driver looking on the better side when it comes to that fuel gauge. Landon Audit in sixth, and Bryson Anderson rounds out our field of cars still out here on the racetrack here tonight. Last time by, Steve Ritter kind of picking up the pace just a little bit in that 61 machine, so Ritter might be now starting to look better on fuel. Starting to pick back up the pace here tonight. Last time by, though, Ritter, not the pace he needed, a 33-second lap time. So that will slow him on down just a little bit, and this will slow him down some more as Bryson Anderson going to get on by the 61 machine as well. Luckily, Ritter's smart move there, making that pass as short as possible there. Right on the entry of the corner, then quickly back down to the bottom side. But yeah, here comes now Brandon Guerin within 2 seconds. So this one car running on down the 61 here in a hurry. And like I said, I think when it comes to fuel mileage, if it does become that, I think it'll be a race between the 61 and the 1. I think that 80 will have to go into big time fuel saving mode late in this one. Same with the 10 machine of Kennedy. But man, what a night it would be if Kennedy could pick up his first career 802 iRacing win here tonight at Nashville Superspeedway. This time by the 10 machine. Now only 20 laps left to do just that. He definitely has the kind of the gap over the rest of the field if he does need to go into huge fuel saving mode. I mean, 12 seconds over Logan Koger and then 20 seconds over Steve Ritter. this 10 machine could go big time into fuel saving mode, really drop off the pace late in this race if needed. I think Steve Ritter now seeing Brandon Guerin, being pretty close within a second and a half. And we hear Brandon Guerin riding on board with him right now, still using that clutch pedal in the one car. So that is surprising to hear. The driver that pitted on lap 69 still saving fuel in the one car late in this one. Man, I thought, Rick Kennedy, Logan Coger going to be, very close on fuel. Maybe they can't even make it to the end. If Brandon Guerin pinned on lap 70 is still saving fuel in that one machine. Guerin can see Steve Ritter up there about a second and a quarter up in front of him. So still has a little bit of work to do to catch that 61 machine, as Ritter definitely re-picking up the pace, it seems like, here tonight. At least compared, to the one car out on track. Those are the two that I'm really trying to judge their pace and how they are driving, as, man, Rick Kennedy's still ripping off 32.2. So that 10 machine still having really good pace late in the run. Like I said, the big question for that 10 car is how much fuel is left in the tank of that race car. Brandon Guerin here tonight within 1 second of Steve Ritter. So Guerin could be looking for another podium. And like I said, if the strategy goes right for this one car here in this one, we could see him go 2 in a row on Friday nights. And let me go double check, see when the last time that happened here in the 802 iRacing League. The last time that has happened where a driver has won 2 Friday night races in a row goes all the way back to race 9 and 10. Both those races won by the 38 machine of Chad Coleman. As here we go, Brandon Guerin to the outside. That is Steve Ritter saying, hey, go on by, man. We are saving fuel. We don't want to give up the bottom here. So Brandon Guerin gets a very important pass. Now Ritter may have to push a little bit, but if I'm Steve Ritter, I'm trying to stay in Brandon Guerin's draft for the rest of this race. But like I was saying, the last time we saw a back-to-back winner on Friday nights was Chad Coleman, race number 9 at Pocono, then race number 10 at Bristol. 2 very different tracks, and here in this one, we could say it's at least a little bit more similar. Big time strategy, but different type of tracks. Atlanta, its own beast. Nashville Superspeedway, its own kind of understanding concrete track, but where they both have in common big time strategy and fuel mileage races here in these last 2 weeks. So Ritter able to stay in the draft of Brandon Guerin. Like I said, that is what that 61 needs to do from here on out. Unless he's really bad in the fuel department, then, he can back on off. But if he's close, he wants to be in the draft of this one car as long as possible. But Rick Kennedy here continuing to pace the field. Now a whopping 15-second advantage here tonight over the rest of the field. If Kennedy can get this job done here tonight, man, what a statement win it would be for the 10 machine. And speaking about the 10 machine, he will now see 10 laps to go here, that time by at the start-finish line. So Rick Kennedy here tonight looking for his first ever 802 iRacing win. Logan Coger in second, looking to wrap on up and lock this championship on down here tonight and set that on up for 1 week early. As Bryson Anderson will try and get around that 80 machine here down the back straightaway. We'll keep an eye on this, make sure nothing happens between the two of them. As Bryson Anderson continuing to look to get around Coger, but man, Anderson a big time wall hit there. Then of course storylines here. Brandon Guerin looking to make it 2 in a row. Last time we saw that was race 9 and 10. It's been over 10 weeks since we've seen something like that. And then of course Steve Ritter here tonight in that 61 machine. Ritter looking for his actually first win on the season, if you could believe that. As here we go, Rick Kennedy, not enough fuel in the 10 machine here with 8 laps to go. Rick Kennedy down on pit road, and it looks like it will be a splash and go for the 10 machine. Just a little bit of fuel, no tires on that car. He will be down and away, and a tough break. The dominant car, the driver that led the most laps here tonight, unless we get a late race caution, not going to be able to walk away with the checkered flag. Now the eyes go to the 80 machine of Logan Coger. Does Coger have enough fuel to make it to the end of this one? Coger and Anderson, there is some contact between the two of them. Now Coger going to have left front damage. If he was struggling with fuel mileage, that damage will only make it worse, as that creates some extra airflow in here in iRacing. That damage has a big impact in fuel mileage, so it's going to be really interesting to see if Coger has enough to make it to the end, because Brandon Guerin now within 5 seconds of the 80 machine with 6 laps to go. Last time by Coger, second off of what Brandon Guerin was able to run. Of course, that was getting their contact there with the 32 machine, so it's going to be really interesting here these last 5 laps, who can make it to the end and who will be short. Even with Rick Kennedy visiting pit road here in that one, he was able to still stay inside the top 5 when it was all said and done. So last time by Logan Coger there, we'll see 5 to go here tonight at Nashville. Brandon Guerin just over 4 seconds back, so unless that one car can, make up a second or more lap, he is hoping that Coger somehow runs out of fuel in these final 4 laps. Remember, Coger last time down on 65. Has to do that once again here in this second run. Brandon Guerin last down on 69. He is looking very good to the end of fuel on this one. Now Brandon Guerin within 3.5 seconds. So Coger definitely backing down the pace, trying to save every little bit he can. And now these final 3 laps here in the Smashville 180. Last time by Logan Coger a 33.0, Brandon Guerin a 32.1. So that is the pace difference that one car needs to maybe run down the 80 before the end of this one. He just has to keep it on up, has to hope Logan continues to slow on down. But here we go at the start finish line, popsicle sticks up in the air. It is now 2 laps to go here tonight at Nashville Superspeedway. 2 to go here, and Logan Coger That car running on fumes. Does he have enough to maybe squeeze it on around for this final time? Brandon Guerin, I think, just going to be short on pace. He is hoping Logan runs on out before the end of this one. Logan definitely way off the pace, trying to save. White flag is out. One more lap to go. Brandon Guerin a second and a half back as Logan Koger here going around landing audit in that 15 machine audit, trying to save that fuel as well. Down the backstretch for the final time here tonight. Brandon Guerin just about a second back. Does Koger have enough to make it through 3 and 4 and off of turn number 4? Last week we saw someone run out of fuel off of turn number 4. Does Logan have enough? It looks like he does. At the start finish line, Logan Koger will visit victory lane here once again. Brandon Guerin will just come up short in the one machine. And how about this? Steve Ritter able to knock off another podium finish. He will bring it home third. Dustin Coggin in fourth. And the driver with the most laps led, Rick Kennedy, rounds out the top 5. But man, what a fuel saving race it was by the 80 machine, as he was able to pick up the win here tonight. And I believe that will now make it win number 3 on the season for the 80 machine. So congrats to Logan here, walking away with his 3rd win. That'll put him on an island on his own. But it looks like that 80 machine, not enough fuel here to make it to the end, or at least for some burnouts, as he will bring it here to his pit stall and bring it to a stop. So don't go anywhere, folks. We will be back here after a quick commercial break with our post-race show here tonight.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Alrighty, folks, we are back here at Nashville Superspeedway, getting ready to chat with some of our drivers here tonight. Our first driver we'll be talking to is the driver that finished in the 3rd position, started in the 3rd position. That'll be the driver of the 61 machine of Steve Ritter. Steve, do you got a copy?
I do, Brett. How you doing?
We are doing pretty good. How are you feeling, my man, after 130 laps here at Nashville Superspeedway?
Yeah, not bad. I mean, the last half of that was just all fuel saving, so it was just, I hate those types of races. But anyway, we came away with the top 3, so I'll take it.
Yeah, qualified 3rd, finished 3rd overall. A good night from that 61 machine, and yeah, fuel saving was the name of the game. We saw drivers fuel save in the first stint. Of course, we saw you big time fuel saving in the second stint. How close was the fuel at the end of it there?
The Logan was just saying in the waiting room that he ran out right at the line. I had about 0.4 left when I crossed the line. So I kind of goofed up though. I had 2 laps left when I pitted on the first or that pit stop. So I should have run another lap, and I think I could have maybe got by Brandon. I don't think I could have beat Logan, but
Yeah, definitely some strong paces there. And kind of the surprising one of the night, Rick Kennedy out there, most laps led for him, career best for him, but, out there having to pit another time. I'm sure that wasn't on the table, right, when you knew it was so close on fuel.
well, no, I let Rick go by me, and then he kept going, and I'm like, I wonder if he doesn't realize he's not going to make it. And I don't know if he was banking on a yellow, but with only 9 guys, we probably weren't going to get one. So
Yeah, and we got to, of course, bring up the big talking point here tonight, the one caution on lap number 1. What'd you see out of behind the windshield of the 61 machine there going into turn number 3?
yeah, I mean, we were, I was on the inside there, Logan on the outside, Frank was in front of me, and he just checked up way before I thought he was gonna. I tried to kind of steer it to the outside, but we were so tight. It was the beginning of the race. I really didn't have anywhere to go. I feel bad for him, but yeah, I just didn't have anywhere to go when he checked up.
Yeah, and I mean, you had another big moment there a little bit later on in the race. Logan Koger gets a piece of the wall there, and once again, you had to shoot to the outside. Almost got the outside wall there as well.
Yeah, that was interesting. I was setting up to try to pass him, and then he hit the wall, and I was like, oh boy, and it just we made a little bit of contact, but it was no big deal.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, luckily, no harm, no foul in that one. Everyone lives to see another lap, let's say. And overall, man, a great run for you here tonight. And of course, the big talking point when it comes to Nashville Superspeedway, that comes to the Sunday night. How you feeling about that place with now these extra laps here in this one?
I feel pretty good. I actually just ordered a new triple monitor stand, so it'll be interesting. We're going to have these things wrapped around us by Sunday night. So, yeah, it should be interesting.
Yeah, that it is a lot of big upgrades because, like we talked with you, I think either last week or 2 weeks ago, right? A new wheel as well. So, man, a lot of upgrades going on in the 61 machine, and that's cool to hear.
Yeah, we're loading up for the summer season, I guess. So, we're out of money, so all we can do is sim race at this point. So.
Hey, there you go. There you go. Well, that is awesome to see, Steve. And yeah, once again, man, congrats on a podium finish here tonight. I believe that now makes it, when I was looking at the stats, if I was not mistaken, I think this now makes it your 10th top 5 finish here. Actually, no, sorry, make it your 8th top 5 finish here on the season, even with your limited start. So that's pretty impressive to see, all things considered.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. The series has kind of gone up and down as far as participation levels, but it's been a good series. Long but good, and the racing's been decent. So, yeah, I feel good about the way we performed all season long, and I think we got one more to go.
Yep, one more week left. We got Kansas next week, of course, with the Busch Series, and then a full-length Kansas race next Sunday night. How are you feeling about next week?
Oh boy. We'll see what happens. Hopefully we make it all. I think it's 400 laps.
Yeah, it's going to be a long one. I know it's going to be, I'm going to be out of a voice by the end of that one. I think I'll just let the drivers do the talking for the post-race interview. They can all talk amongst themselves, right?
Right. Yeah, I don't know who's going to be in worse shape, us or you.
Exactly. I know we'll be feeling it by the end of that one. But yeah, that's coming up next week. But yeah, Steve, here tonight, a top 3 finish. So congrats again on that here before we let you go and celebrate that. We, of course, got to hand the mic over to you one last time here and have you thank who you got to thank, whether sponsors, teammates, or anyone else you'd like to give a shout out to on the broadcast here.
Yeah, I mean everybody at Wolfpack Racing, Rob, Johnny, Nick, Eli, everybody that's involved with that. The great team to be on. Bone Dry Roofing and new one, Sim Magic, actually is coming on board as a sponsor. So we got a new one to thank, and they weren't on the card tonight, but they will be for the summer. So looking forward to that. And yeah, you guys for doing the broadcast. You guys always do a fantastic job, and I enjoy watching them. So thank you for that.
Alrighty, awesome stuff. Well, Steve, we appreciate you taking your time here, being part of the show, and chatting with me afterwards. So, you, my man, have yourself a great rest tonight, and I'm sure we'll see you on Sunday night here back at Nashville Superspeedway.
Thanks, buddy. Have a good night.
Alrighty, awesome stuff. That was our third place finisher, the 61 machine of Steve Ritter. Now we'll head on up to our runner-up finisher, the driver that got also close to the two-peat. Brandon, do you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you, Brett. How we doing?
We are doing pretty good. How are you feeling, my man, after 130 laps and once again, another strategy race for the one machine?
Feeling pretty good. Hate that I kind of came up one spot short. Logan did a really good job too, saving. So yeah, it was a good race. Honestly, I don't know like what my pace would have been if I tried to just keep up with them and race it out that way. But from the beginning of the race, I did the math and I was like, I talked to Dustin and Frank, and that was our strategies. We were gonna try to one stop it, and I think we could have made it if it stayed green. But unfortunately, we had a wreck early in the race that took Frank out, and that kind of threw a little loop in the strategy because I feel like that kind of probably helped other guys saving wise. So I would have liked to see how it would have played out if we would have had the whole 130 laps green. But
Yeah,
all in all, another second place top up of the podium. So can't be mad about that.
No, you can't, because, you know, that makes it now, when I was looking at the stats for you as well, you know, coming into tonight, 9 top 5 finishes here will now make your 10th top 5 finish in the series. So, I mean, double digits and, you know, a series of top 5 finishes, that's always a good sign, right?
Yeah, it's been a decent side on the Busch side. It's nice to see where it's like the full season points, unlike on the Cup side, where as of right now, I think I'm sitting like, I think I'm almost out of the top 10 in points just based off how the playoffs and everything drop. And I have been keeping tally of the full season points on that side. So it's nice to know that if we were doing that, I'd still be top 5 there. But yeah, it's nice to see like what consistency lies over a full season. And I mean, obviously, like the guy who won the race, Logan's just been killer all season. His stats speak for themselves, and Dustin's been just as solid as him and for the top 10 aspect. And that's kind of where Dustin's beating me, is just he finishes more. So I think we've had a really good season on this side. So yeah, we got one more race, and it's my favorite track. So hopefully we can get one more checker flag, because I think that's about all we're racing for. I don't know if Steve can really catch me for second, and I think we're kind of just stalemated here. I don't know if I'm that close to Dustin, so we're kind of where we are, Brett, and it's been a good side on the Busch side at least this year.
Yeah, that it has. I mean, yeah, like you mentioned, overall it looks like you're going to come home, you know, third in points, which is always a great season. And yeah, you know, you came into tonight about 34 points back from Dustin Coggin, able to eat a few points away from that. And then you were, you know, 23 in front of Steve Ritter. So, like we're saying, I think, you know, what you got to race for next week is a checkered flag and good old third place trophy overall in the overall standings, which is always a good sign, because, I mean, looking at the stats, you know, we had over 60 drivers at least take a start here, and, you know, a lot of good names in those starts as well, right?
Yeah, we had a lot of good guys that raced throughout the season. The numbers have kind of dropped off towards the end of the season, which are expected, especially on a Friday night, getting into the summer, nice warm weather. So there will be some adjustments to the Friday night league going forward, but that's for another kind of a interview to talk about. But overall, I think for the first season, I think the Busch Series was a really good addition to the league. I've been happy with it. I mean, I think we have at least like 10 guys that have made almost 20 starts, so that's pretty solid. Yeah, it's a Friday night league. It's hard. It's a little bit later in the day, but we're all just out here to have fun, and I think that's what we've had most of the season. So I'm interested to see how the last race shakes up. I mean, kind of I think everybody's kind of locked into their positions for Dustin to leapfrog Logan here in the last race. It's going to take a full field of cars and Dustin to win the race and Logan to finish last, basically. So it's been a good year, and nobody's more deserving than the guy I think he's finished top 10 for almost every week, and a lot of top fives and a lot of podiums also.
Yeah, that he has. He has put together a good season. Same with you, Brandon, here. And you, like we see tonight here, a runner-up finish. And yeah, 1 week left. We head to Kansas. We heard, like you just mentioned a little bit before, one of your favorite tracks. What are your expectations? How you feeling going into the final week of racing next week, as well as, Sunday night as well with the Cup side of things here at Nashville Superspeedway?
So for Sunday, it'd kind of be up in the air. I don't really know how the car's gonna race out. I hope it races like last week. I felt like I had a really good car last week. That car actually raced off the right rear, and it was a lot of fun to drive. And I think we showed a lot of pace last week. I hope the car kind of drives like that again this week. Not really the most confident that it will, but if it does, then I feel confident in the track. Kind of like, while I had a strategy of fuel saving this whole race, I kind of learned a few things that I hope I could apply to the next gen car, and hopefully just have a good run, help my teammate. Obviously, he's in a really big uphill climb here for this championship 5, and yeah, and then next week I hope, as much as luck I've had these past 2 weeks with fuel mileage races, I hope next week at Kansas is not a fuel mileage race. I hope we get a decent field for the end of the season. It's a great track, so I hope a lot of people come out, and yeah, it'll be a fun race. That's one of my favorite tracks, and like I said, I hope we're not at a fuel mileage thing. Maybe I'll go into the sim this week, and if we have to, we'll even adjust the laps or something to figure that out. Because while it's fun, I don't want to have every race where it comes down to somebody trying to save fuel and edging it out there. But
Exactly.
if
And
it does
like
come down to that, I'm pretty good at it too. So I mean, I don't know.
Exactly. When it comes to a strategy, this one car always seems like he's on top of it. But yeah, like you said, Kansas is a fun enough track on its own. I mean, I think when it comes to the NASCAR cars, especially here on iRacing, it probably puts on the best racing. And, we even see it in real life too, right?
Yeah, it's just a great track. I mean, it's multi grooves, comers and goers. There's tire wear. You can put it right up on the wall. You can hook that bottom of the white line. I mean, there's a lot of places to make room and passes, and yeah, like you said, every series, it's especially in the NASCARs and the ARCA car. I think it's probably the best track for overall for all 3 or 4 of those series.
Yeah, we got a lot to look forward to in our final week here of the kind of winter spring series of the 802 iRacing League. But Brandon, before we let you go here and celebrate this runner-up finish here tonight from Nashville Superspeedway, we of course got to hand over the mic to you, my man, and have you thank who you got to thank, whether sponsors, teammates, or anyone else you like to give a shout out to on the broadcast here tonight.
Yep, as always, it's gonna be the kiddos first, Bryson and Brody, and then I'll thank the teams that we got, or the teammates. We got Frank, Dustin, Buell. We got Kenny, Jason. Great team to work with on Friday nights. Obviously, you for coming out, putting on the broadcast. Even when we don't have the car count, you're still here. You're making the broadcast good and interesting, and I hope we made it interesting with like a little bit of strategy out there. And obviously, Rob, everything that he does, just helping with basically paying for all the broadcast and everything he does for the league. So yeah, looking forward to wrapping up this, as you called it, the winter's springish series, and then we got a bunch of exciting things happening over the summer. So stay tuned. The 802 is not done yet.
Oh yeah, a lot of good stuff you guys are cooking on up. So once again, Brandon, congrats on the runner-up finish, and yeah, thank you for being part of the race in action and all the work you do behind the scenes as well. It is greatly appreciated, my man.
Yep, same to you, Brett, and hopefully we're talking to you on Sunday again, my man.
Yep, sounds like a plan. So Brandon, have yourself a good rest of the night, have a good weekend, and we'll catch you Sunday night here back at Nashville.
See you, Brett.
Alrighty, awesome stuff. That was our runner-up finisher, the one car of Brandon Guerin. Now we'll head down to Victory Lane and talk to the man of the hour. It is the driver of the 80 machine. It is Logan Koger here down in Victory Lane. Logan, do you got a copy?
I sure do.
Alrighty, man. First and foremost, we got to ask, how you feeling down in Victory Lane after 130 laps here tonight at Nashville Superspeedway?
Well, we're in Victory Lane, so I'd say pretty good.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And man, I was worried for you. How close were you on fuel, and how worried were you yourself?
Well, honestly, when I saw Rick pitted and everything, I thought we were in really good shape because I knew I had just enough to make it. And when that lap car got to racing us really hard, that cost me probably a second or two. And then I was like, oh no, we might be in trouble here because I saw Brandon was gaining a pretty quick rate. And when he came to the white there, he was about a second back or a little over a second back. And I had just enough. It ran out right at the line. So thank goodness for that.
Yeah, man, that was impressive to see, just having enough fuel. And yeah, with you racing that lapper, I'm sure you didn't notice behind the wheel, but you actually got some left front damage. So I was saying up in the booth too, I'm like, man, I know damage on iRacing really affects fuel mileage. Hopefully you still have enough to make it to the end with the damage as well.
Yeah, I knew I made contact with him. I didn't know how much damage was done or anything. As far as that goes, I was more concerned about, if it hurt the handling of the car or anything like that. But thank goodness it didn't really affect me too much.
Yeah, luckily it's not. And I think you had quite a few close calls here tonight. We'll start, early on in this race. Frank Zingen just missing you. I mean, that had to be almost a Code Brown moment for you there.
Oh, it definitely was. That caught me off guard. I got a really good start there and got on the outside of Frank and was able to get him just about clear there going into 3. And the next thing I know, I saw he was turning head on to the wall and about clipped me. So it was we almost both headed for the outside wall, and that would have been good. But thank goodness we avoided that and we survived to win the thing.
Yeah, luckily you were able to just squeak on by there. And yeah, kind of the interesting call right after that, you were the only car to stay out on the track while everyone else came in, take a little bit of fuel. But even with that, man, you were able to make it to lap 65. That was impressive to see.
Yeah, I thought actually I think I made it to 66 there, but I knew that I thought I was in trouble when everybody pitted behind me during that caution. When I realized the fuel's stupid, I was like, well, and I saved some under that caution, and thank goodness it was enough to get me to that pit stop. And I saw everybody else pit a couple laps actually earlier than I did, so I knew I'd be in better shape there. And yeah, it was pretty much just. And actually, when we came off pit road, I was probably about a half a lap short, but I managed to kind of cut or let off a little bit earlier. I was actually half throttling it basically down the straightaways when I caught Steve quite a bit. And then when I got to about within a second of him, I started really cutting it back to make sure I had enough and was able to save just enough.
Yeah, that you were just able to save enough. And Logan, probably going to be talking to you next week. So we'll save all the championship conversations for that. But with this win here tonight, that pretty much all but locks it up to you. How you feeling going that next week? The pressure's off your shoulders, and a win here tonight, now career win number 3 as well. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, it's awesome anytime you can win these deals. And we get, unfortunately didn't get to do a burnout tonight because we were out of fuel, but we saved the big burnout for next week. I know that I think the championship being 41-point lead, it's pretty much clinched up, but unless something really catastrophic happened next week. But just got to go to Kansas, and I'm looking at it as well. We got the championship pretty much, but I want to try to go there and get another win and tie Cody and them guys for the most wins this season. I think that'd be pretty cool if we could get one more and end it on an even higher note.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely tie for the season best amount of wins. You still have a shot for that with one race left on the schedule. So, like you said, that would be really cool to do that. And yeah, Logan, of course, bring an extra set of ties for next week, right? Because I'm sure this 80 machine will be burning it down on the front stretch as well, no matter the outcome, right?
Oh yeah, we're gonna have the burnout either way. So with the championship or the race win and the championship, one or the other. But I think it's going to be fun next week. From the official races I've done this week, it's going to be slick next Friday night. The cars are going to be on the edge, out of control. Guys are really going to have to save that right rear next week. You're going to be more on the right rear. Tonight you're on the right front. I'm normally garbage here, so to even come out of here with a win is a big shock. But next week it's going to be more my style. I think I'll be a lot quicker. It's a lot like Gateway next week, so we won that one. So I think I don't want to speak too soon, but I think we'll have a really good shot at it next week.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have that race circled on their calendar. And Logan, when it comes to Kansas, are you more top side ripping, kind of leaning on that right rear? Or are you going to the bottom side here at the start?
I like to run the top, but at Kansas, you want to run the bottom for as long as you can to save the tires. It saves the tires quite a bit more on the bottom groove. But after probably about 30 laps or so on them, I'll definitely be running the top.
Alrighty, well, we appreciate the little bit of insight there. And Logan, yeah, once again, congrats on the win here, my man. That is awesome to see. And, while we got you here for a minute, what kind of got you into sim racing?
It's just always been a fan of racing since I was about not even quite 3 years old. So just got into it, knew about iRacing for many years since I was a kid. And when I turned 13 back in 2018, I got pretty heavily into it. Been into it really heavily ever since.
Oh yeah, man, the seed was set, and I think it's just too cool to go out here and race what you see on Friday, Saturday nights, both at short track level and even the premiere, the NASCAR side of stuff too, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I have a blast driving any of these cars. It's really a lot of fun. These cars are really fun when they're on the edge of out of control. I'll be honest, some of the fixed setups I'm not a huge fan of on these cars, but I think that once they get the setup right, like what we had at North Wilkesboro, what we had at Gateway, what we're gonna have next week at Kansas. But yeah, I think that's gonna be the big thing.
Yeah, for sure. Like you said, the setups definitely make a big difference in these race cars. And I always like to say the looser the car, the more fun it is to drive, especially when you don't have to repair or pay for the repairs, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Alrighty, well, awesome stuff, Logan. Once again, congrats on the win here tonight. Career number 3 for you, and yeah, looking very good in the championship standings. So before we let you go, my man, and celebrate this win, we of course got to hand over this mic to you down in victory lane and have you thank who you got to thank, whether sponsors, teammates, or anyone else you'd like to give a shout out to here tonight on the broadcast.
Just everybody puts on this league and everybody, that's part of this, and that's about it, really.
Alrighty, awesome stuff, Logan. Well, we got to thank you, making every single start this season here. That is impressive to see, and we thank you for being part of the racing action each and every Friday night, my man. So you go have a good one here tonight, and we'll catch you in 1 week's time for the big one next week at Kansas.
Yeah, no problem, man. Looking forward to it.
Alrighty, awesome stuff. That was our race winner, Logan Koger, getting the job done here tonight at Nashville Superspeedway, walking with career win number 3 under his belt. So that'll do it here tonight from Nashville Superspeedway. Let's quickly run on through tonight's race results and get things wrapped on up here and get everyone out of here at a decent time. So Logan Koger in the 80 machine picking up career win number 3 on the season. Brandon Guerin also close to going 2 in a row on Friday nights. He will finish in second. And Steve Ritter started in third, finished third. Dustin Coggin will bring it home fourth. And Rick Kennedy here tonight, career best laps led and walked away with the most laps led. Rick Kennedy will round out the top 5. Landon Audit will bring it home 6th. Bryson Anderson 7th. Johnny Barker 8th. And Frank Zingen will finish in 9th. So that'll do it here tonight. Like we heard, probably many of times here tonight, be sure to tune in next week as it is championship night at a very fun track as well. Kansas always puts on some good racing. If you're free Sunday night, race number 2 of the final round of the Winston Cup 802 series and that will be here at Nashville Superspeedway. That'll be Sunday night at 7 p.m. So we got to thank all you guys tuning on in here live. Anyone tuning in here for the replay, we appreciate each and every one of you guys tuning on in to Turn Through Racing Network. Turn Through Racing Network, of course, having some great racing throughout the weekend. If you want some sim racing action to enjoy, be sure to tune in to Turn Through Racing Network, as we have a lot of good stuff to offer. So Turn Through Racing Network also partner with Premier Setup Shops. You can find out more about them with a link in the description. Even if you don't buy anything, a click would go a long way. Of course, with the 802 iRacing League, we got to thank some people. Of course, Rob Lowell and Brandon Guerin, all the work they do in the background. BG Graphix, Riptide Radio, Admin Boxx, GStone Motorsports, as well as Stone, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram, as well as all the racers that put on the show for all of us to enjoy. So that'll do it here tonight for me on this Friday night. Everyone take care, stay safe, have a great weekend, and we'll catch you next week for Championship Night. You won't want to miss it. So once again, I've been Brett the Jet in the booth here with Turn Through Racing Network, and I just flew by you. Have a good one.
Premier Racing Setups is the longest running setup shop on iRacing. Our monthly subscription options start as low as $20 a month. We offer setups for dirt oval, asphalt oval, and road racing, covering a wide range of cars and skill levels. Built and tested by top-tier sim racers, this isn't just a business, it's a community of competitive drivers. If you want to better your iRacing experience, head over to PremierRacingSetups.com today. And remember, if you don't get one,